Here are 5 important new features that you have to know about the Sony RX100 Mark VII. Latest feature number 1, auto flip vertical orientation for video. Well, damn, it's about time. With highly produced vertical videos being so prominent for the last few years, I am shocked that we're barely getting this auto rotation feature in cameras like these now. What I mean by auto rotation is that the camera will know if you're shooting in vertical orientation and will automatically output the video file in vertical so you don't have to rotate it later in an editing software. Perfect for high quality Instagram TV and Instagram stories, and for those vertical displays at boba tea shops. That's bubble tea for some of you folks outside of LA. Feature number 2, built-in mic jack. Are you surprised that wasn't first on my list? That's because that's probably the buzziest feature that everybody else is talking about, and Jason Vong doesn't follow the trend. Not gonna lie, when Canon announced their G7X Mark III with the mic jack, I got kind of worried for a second. Thank goodness Sony threw in the mic jack for the RX Mark VII. If it wasn't obvious already, these two companies are going toe-to-toe for the vlogging community. Now you may be wondering, Jason, this camera doesn't have a hot shoe mount. How are you gonna mount a mic to this? Bracket. Only $9.99. While it is at the sacrifice of compactability, the inclusion of a mic input will greatly improve the clarity of your audio when you're talking to the camera. Both the Rode Video Mic Pro and the Video Mic Go are tiny enough to up the production value of your vlogs. Let's take a listen. What is up? Doing a bit of sound check with the RX100 Mark 7. Just 7? I don't know. But hey, that's a sound check for you right now. And this is a sound test for the RX100 Mark VII with no microphone, and at the audio level that I would use it with no microphone. It's at 15 right now. Hopefully it sounds a lot different when compared to using a microphone. Alright, we are now testing it with the microphone, with the camera. How does it sound here at a busy restaurant? Alright, so this is the audio without the microphone plugged in. You can hear a drastic difference. It's probably not as good as with the mic on. Now, just because there's active stabilization in 4K doesn't mean you can run and vlog at the same time. Oh, shoot. But if you're vlogging and talking, it should look pretty stabilized. Now, the next 3 features is made possible by the new tech from the 1-inch stacked CMOS sensor. Oh my God. Now, the next 3 features is made possible by the new tech of the new 1-stack CMOS.
Stacked 1-inch CMOS.
Feature number 3, animal eye autofocus is now more accessible to casual shooters thanks to the RX100 Mark VII. Now I just need to find an animal. Can I borrow your dog? Let's go. Immediately from my short test, I can tell the animal eye autofocus works like it does on the bigger A6400 and A7 III. Nothing seems to be held back. Now keep in mind, the feature was just available this year. It's not gonna work on all breeds of animals, but for your standard dogs and cats, it should work just fine. God dang it, I want a dog now. Feature number 4, real-time eye autofocus tracking in video. To be honest, I did not expect the RX100 to get this feature, like at all. Just to be clear, continuous eye autofocus for photography has been a thing for a very long time now, since the RX100 Mark V. But eye autofocus tracking in video is brand new and was just announced in July 2019. The feature should keep you looking crystal clear in both photos and videos. Now I just want to briefly throw this out there. In case you need to track something going across or coming at the screen, the RX100 has touch tracking capability to keep your subject in focus. Now before we move on to the last major feature, here are some honorable mentions. 2 additional aspect ratio have been included, 4:3 and 1:1 for quick social media shoot and post. Auto ISO now displays a numeric value so you know what ISO setting your camera is using. Hybrid log gamma profiles have been included, and time-lapse is back in the form of interval shoot function in the camera. Custom file prefixes is now available to help you better organize not only your photos, but also your videos. And for anybody wondering, the 4K videos are still capped at 5 minutes per file, but I was able to squeeze in 7 videos before the camera had to stop and cool down. Because of the new sensor, this has drastically improved the recording time of the RX100 Mark VII compared to the RX100 Mark V and the previous generations. Alright, now I know there are going to be some complaints about this camera not having built-in ND filters. I know it seems weird, they got it on the Mark III, the Mark IV, and the Mark V, but they started taking it away from the Mark VI and now the Mark VII. The reason why that is because they're jamming a 24 to 200mm lens on this tiny little body, so they don't have space for that ND filter. But let's be honest here, pro cinematographers aren't going to be buying this camera to create a feature-length film, so it's okay to jack up those shutter speed to compensate for the exposure. Whoops. Wrong way. There we go. And last but not least, Sony didn't just make this the ultimate pocket point and shoot vlogging camera, but also the ultimate pocket point and shoot sports camera. They took the technology of their flagship model Sony A9 and stuck it onto this tiny little camera, 20 frames per second, no blackout, and 200mm zoom. You can get right into the action. Right into the action. Now, what do I mean by 20 frames per second, no blackout? That means the camera can shoot 20 frames per second without missing the action. Most cameras would stutter shooting burst action, but the RX100 VII and the A9 allows you to keep focus on the action when they're capturing all these frames. If you're shooting kids sports or a high action scene, the 200mm reach of this lens will allow you to capture things up close. I mean, just look at this footage of me zooming into the plane. Wow. So you know what I just did? I under-promised and then over-delivered. Those are the top 8 things that you have to know about the Sony RX100 Mark VII. To be honest with you guys, I really enjoy using this camera, and I would love to provide more updates for you guys. If you guys are interested, let me know in the comments down below. Thanks for watching. I'll see you guys in the next video.